Hey gang. How's everyone doing?
Everyone's doing great. Beautiful Thursday evening / afternoon / morning, depending on where you are.
Indeed. Cool. Thanks for joining us for our third bi-weekly update. This one is at a different time than usual because this last weekend I was in Shenzhen and Hong Kong with my wife Allie. Anyways, so let's go ahead and go down the list with our updates. So we'll start with a couple small things, and then go over the big number 2 update and some info from the trip. First off, a lot of people have been asking about the number 160 Rev 1 pre-order. We are just as eager as everyone else to get this started, but we won't start a pre-order without having signed off on samples. And final production samples are being made, but we don't have them yet in hand. As soon as we do, and have confirmed that there aren't any issues, then we'll set and announce a pre-order date. We just don't ever want to run a pre-order without having seen the final thing that we're going to be producing. So hopefully people understand that, and it might, take a little longer than people want to get things started. It's definitely taking longer to get things started than we want, but I think this is the right way to do it. As soon as we know more, we will let everyone know and get a pre-order date out. For the Rama X Keycult brass keycaps, I've been told that these have now finished machining and are in line for PVD. That line, I think, is fairly long. I don't yet know exactly how long it's going to take, but I think that finishing is done, machining is done, so they just need to be coated and then packaged and sent to us. As soon as we have a solid timeline, we will include it in one of these bi-weekly updates. It's possible that we'll have great news on that front next week or for our next update, but it also could be it could be a bit longer. But those are in production. Haven't heard of any issues. Machining is finished, and those are moving along. All right, so the number 2 update. So last week, my wife Allie and I went to Shenzhen to check out our primary factory that manufactures our cases. We also visited our PCB supplier and our packaging supplier. You might be able to notice that I'm maybe slightly less chipper than usual today. I'm pretty tired. Basically, right as soon as we adjusted to the time zone change, it was time to come back. So yeah. So I'm still recovering. It's a 12-hour time difference, so the day is night and the night is day. It's horrible. But it was a really cool trip. Definitely glad that I went. The the big bummer is that due to some sort of uncontrollable delays at our primary factory, cases weren't ready for full QC when I was actually there. So that kind of sucks. I wasn't actually able to do a full QC of everything, but I was able to strengthen our relationship with that factory, explain more about our QC process and our QC and assembly standards, and get a really cool behind the scenes look at the machining and finishing process. We do have some pictures and video that we'll post up soon, possibly by this weekend. I think we'll make a blog post about it and just have a bunch of pictures and stuff like that. So people will be able to see some in-process pictures of unfinished parts and some machining video. I know that everyone likes that. The update on it is that everything is still going very smoothly, but just a little more slowly than we would have liked. Machining is very nearly finished on all of the case parts. When we were there, they had completed machining for all of the aluminum parts, and we're about halfway through machining of the brass base plates. One of the delays that slowed things down a little bit is that it took a little longer than it normally does to actually source the brass material itself. The aluminum parts are in the queue for hand finishing, after which they will go to anodizing. We are still on track for an October delivery, but because things have taken a couple of weeks longer than expected to get to this point, if there are other delays, which we don't expect there to be. But if there are other delays, then it could mean that actual pre-order delivery is like late October or early November or something like that. So we don't expect any other delays. And as you get further along in the process, the number of things that could delay like dwindles. So still on track. Everything is still good to go. Things look really great. I know folks are asking for some photo leaks on stream. Unfortunately, I don't have them on my computer right now, so I actually can't leak any pictures at the moment. But yeah, it was a really cool trip. It was really cool to see behind the scenes stuff. It was great to actually meet the reps who we've been working with and talking to for more than a year now, and that was really cool. The PCB factory especially was really cool. Seeing their assembly process was awesome. It was good that we met up with the packaging supplier as well, cleared up some confusion that could have led to delays if I hadn't been there in person to clear up that confusion. So that was good. So everything is still moving along. This update is basically the same as last times, which is that everything is still moving along as we kind of expect. And that is basically the update. So the thing that we've started doing after this is just kind of opening up to questions. So if people have any questions for us related to our ongoing projects or anything else, go ahead and let us know in chat, and we will stick around for a little bit and answer those questions.
I have a question.
Yo, hit me.
What time did you wake up this morning?
I woke up at 3 a.m. this morning, and I also woke up at 3 a.m. yesterday morning. It's not been super duper. It's taken longer. Well, I mean, I say it's taken longer than I would have liked to recover, but I've only been back for 2 days, and in those 2 days, I've not managed to. I've not managed to recover.
It's a bummer.
I agree. So I do expect that we'll probably have fewer questions than usual. Maybe no questions. I don't know. I don't see any coming in chat. Maybe my chat is okay.
Rose gold.
Someone hitting me with a rose gold.
It's this rose gold question mark, as in it does exist somewhere.
It is a thing. Yeah. I do like rose gold. I don't know if we'll ever run it as like a main color, but yeah, I expect that that at some point we'll put out something in rose gold. Was the delay because of the typhoon that came through? I don't quite know. I don't think so. But yeah, I don't fully know. The factory was out of commission for a little while, which slowed things down. So it could have been because of that. What parts of production were improved because you were there that would have otherwise taken longer? So the biggest bullet dodged, I think, was related to packaging and some boxes being produced. We have just a lot of different pieces that are coming to us, and that is probably our supplier who has the largest language barrier, and so I had not communicated as effectively as I needed to via email, but in person was able to work all of that out. So that was really useful.
Anything on the number 165 Rev 1 is probably still a bit away. It is after the 160. And so in that sense, it is a little bit away, but it is coming. There will be a pre-order for it after the 160 and after we get in prototypes and confirm that we like colors and that the changes that were made, don't interfere with the case and everything. Like Zach said, we like to have things on hand and make sure that everything works and that we like how they look before we announce anything.
Yeah, I mean, we've never, I don't know if we'll always stick with this, but so far we've never posted a single picture of like a render of something that we're selling. We've only posted pictures of the actual products, like actual production samples of what we're going to be selling, and so we want to stick to that. Did we have a translator with us during the visits? No, but I was primarily meeting with our English speaking reps at the various suppliers that we work with. I did have a fun experience where I was stuck in traffic for 3 hours with a taxi driver that didn't speak any English, and we had a very long conversation using the Google Translate conversation app. That was pretty fun. It worked surprisingly well.
The City at Night asked us if we've looked at getting anything machined in the States. We have, and the price so far has been super high. Like the quotes that we've gotten have been more than we charge at retail. So unless, you know, we start selling things for a lot more expensive, yeah, so it's just, you know, American manufacturers are used to dealing with like large industrial applications and government stuff, and you know, making keyboards and stuff isn't really in their radar because you know they can't charge, you know, $10,000 for a single part. So
yeah, it definitely isn't directed at sort of consumer applications, and for most factories. I'll also say that I haven't seen a whole lot of evidence that things being made in the United States necessarily means it will be higher quality. And in fact, a lot of the work I've seen from the US has been lower quality than the stuff that we're able to source in China at the moment. And that is kind of our main focus. So we both need to find a factory in the United States that has that does really excellent work and puts a lot of care into the work that they do while simultaneously charging a lot less. So I don't think it's likely that we're gonna find that at the moment.
Big Bucknut. If we have an update that he missed the update on the 160, basically the update is prototypes haven't gotten to us yet, and as soon as we get them, we'll announce pre-order dates and stuff. But we haven't really gotten them, so we don't really feel comfortable giving a firm date or anything like that.
The best thing I ate in China, my wife and I went to a really great restaurant, the exact name of which I am blanking on. It was actually in Hong Kong, not China, but it was a Iberico pork xiaolongbao. It was really, really good. Soup dumplings are one of my favorite things ever, and these were possibly the best that I'd ever had.
Soup dumplings are really great, and I'm kind of jealous that you had the best you ever had. Slippery Pete asks if there will be a 260 or 265. Probably, but they're not in the pipeline yet. You know, a lot goes into designing this stuff, and we haven't really started with that. So probably not in 2019, and probably not before Q2 of 2020.
Swirl asks, what's the next milestone expected in production? So the three big parts of it, I'm going to assume you're talking about cases. The three big parts are machining, I guess like hand finishing, and then like coating. So machining is nearly completed. After that is hand finishing. So parts are essentially polished, remove machine marks, and to smooth out the surface, and then sandblasted if it is a sandblasted surface, or polished to like a mirror finish, and then coated in some way, whether that's anodizing or PVD or whatever. So right now, machining is very nearly finished. It might actually be completely finished at this point. And next up is hand finishing. I don't yet have an estimate on exactly how many days that will take, but it's not like a huge amount of time. And I think this order is their priority. So the next milestone will be finishing hand finishing and then going to anodizing for the aluminum parts, and that won't take very long either. So we're definitely like, honestly, the thing that you wait for the most when you're thinking about a timeline for production is it's machine time. It's like just when are CNC machines going to be available to make your parts. And then because you have a limited capacity to actually machine parts, and you have to set up all of the machines with different fixtures for each individual part. And so much of the time is just waiting for those machines to be available. And then once machines are available, everything moves along pretty smoothly. So we're definitely in that phase where like stuff is being worked on, machining is almost done, and everything else, there aren't any real bottlenecks coming up. So, but I guess the next major milestone would be finishing and then coding.
In Gnome or Gnome, will there be a win key offered of the number 1 Rev 1 brass? You can correct me on whichever pronunciation is right. We don't know 100% if there will be. We're leaning towards maybe. It just kind of.
I think probably. I think probably yes. We'll have Winky and Winkyless in the same way that we did for the number 2. So that might mean fewer colorway options. But we'll see. We're trying to. We've talked about this before, but there is a reason that we limit configuration on our runs, and it is that it makes QC and replacing parts much easier. You're able to hold parts to a much higher standard if you have a higher quantity of more similar parts. So different colors are one way of having more variance, and then different layouts, obviously Winkeyless or Winky with lockers is another way of having more variance. So if we open up one, we're going to limit some others.
Yeah.
But with this number 2 release, we offered both a Winky and Winkeyless variant, and both were like, I will say that more people wanted Winkeyless than Winky, but a very significant number got the non-blocker standard layout as well. Yeah. Sproogie. Might be able to rap to us on stream, maybe at some point. Probably not on this particular stream, but maybe ping us on Discord and we can work something out.
Yeah, we can set something up. I'm down with having. Would it be like a rap battle because both of us are really bad rappers, or would it just be like sort of you're serenading us with rap, which is fine. I'm cool with that, but yeah.
We'll see. Yeah,
how much confidence? Go ahead.
I was gonna read the same question.
Oh, okay. How much Korean American Barbecue asked how much confidence did you lose after visiting the factory?
George?
I didn't. So my confidence gain is neutral for I didn't visit the factory. So this is more of a question directed at Zach. Oh, Lucy's here.
I would say that I probably gained confidence, but it's hard to quantify how much. Slightly gained confidence, but I already had like fairly high confidence in our factory. We wouldn't be working with them if we didn't think they couldn't put out excellent products. But always being able to talk to people in person, and it's like easier to gauge whether or not someone understands you in person than it is through text, or even through like a Skype chat or a voice chat or something like that. So that's always useful. It's nice to be able to explain assembly and QC standards in person and be more confident that they are going to understand them and meet them than doing it through an email or something like that. So I'd say as a whole, I gained confidence, but I'm not going to try to quantify exactly how much was gained. So some confidence was gained. Big Bucknut says no chance for a Winkeyless 60 or 65. I don't know. I wouldn't say there's no chance for one. Well, okay, that's not true. There is no chance for a win keyless number 160 right now, for this upcoming pre-order, and unlikely that we'll offer a win keyless 65 as well. For the upcoming 165 pre-order, the layouts will probably be the same as the number 160 and 165 that we released in January. As for whether or not they'll be available at some point in the future, maybe. I don't really know. Also, like, you know, as we order more boards, if we see our defect levels like changing, like in particular lowering, then we'll be more confident in offering more configuration, which could open up more colors or more layouts, like things like a win keyless 60% or something like that. But like right now, like with minimal configuration, we're literally just able to order like twice as much. Like we did a pre-order for 75 units and we ordered 150, and so we're able to just order twice as much of what everyone ordered to ensure that everyone who gets in on the pre-order has a stock available to them. As you get more and more variants, you end up with less common configurations.
I mean, you sort of compound the defect rate, because so let's say that a defect rate is 20% per part. So if you have, you know, several different variations, then different colors and stuff, then you compound that defect rate over the different configurations. So that's one of the first mistakes that we made with our very first run. We offered the 160, the 165 in aluminum and in brass. So we had like 4 configurations. And you know, with their normal industry standard defect rate, that was compounded over so many different boards. And since there's no interchangeability of parts, you just have to, you know, sell a lot more B stock than you feel comfortable with, and you also have to um, like not sell some boards that you would otherwise probably could sell if you could. So it's just easier to keep configurations limited. And like as Zach said, if we ever you know, if our defect rate ends up going down and we start feeling more confident, then definitely we'll definitely, because like variability is something that we're also interested in, as you know, consumers of keyboards, and being able to offer that is a would be great. But as right now, it's more important for us to keep our quality up and to not have to deal with like compounding defect rates. Um,
Someone asks, just related to that, do we ever entirely scrap boards? There have been boards that we haven't sold that we still have, like we don't throw them away, but we'll do
yeah,
something else with them at some point when we have time. And I'm not quite sure what. Like sometimes
like
it's like major issues in anodization, but it could still like be custom anodized. Like for instance, the 2 of the Horde and Alliance themed boards that we had were both like C stock boards from the number 1 Rev 1 10 keyless sale. But after being custom anodized, those defects sort of disappear.
yeah,
Because they weren't like, it wasn't like they had major dings in them or something like that. Usually it's just like really obvious anodization defects. But those are fixed by the type of custom anodizing that we did.
it would be hard to show sort of the defect stuff right now, because so like a lot of the stuff is hard to show on these cameras because the resolution is like 720 and like super grainy over Twitch because it's like encoded. Those things become a lot more apparent when you know, take high quality, high resolution pictures of them, which I do, and which our customers do often. And when you have them in person and see them in like light, like our C stock boards are usually boards that have super obvious defects in all light on the top face of it. And we just don't sell those boards. And sometimes, and it would be hard for me to like, you know, lift up a board and like show that to you, because this is, you know, Twitch and it's grainy and stuff. So,
I mean, yeah, we're not going to show them right now. Maybe at some point in the future we could show like examples of like what we would consider a like C stock defect or like a defect that we wouldn't be comfortable selling. But usually, as George says, it's some kind of defect that is visible, like especially visible on the top face in all lights, as opposed to like just at one right angle with like harsh light bouncing off of it. Want to make sure we don't miss questions. Burb Whispers asks, any new colors for the number 160? Yep, there will be new colors for the 160 as compared to the previous release of 160s. Enome asks, how much time would you give to run a previous colorway again? Not really sure. I mean, ultimately, we've only really been doing this for 9 months now. It's like right now, we don't feel the need to be rerunning. I'm going to assume you mean previous colorway with the same board. So like another run of number 2s with dark gray and brass. There are so many other things we want to run that it's like unlikely that we come back around to that for quite a while. I don't know what that while is.
More than a year, probably.
Yeah, like, there's just like so many other things that we want to run, and we are limited in our capacity to release boards. So it's not so much that like there's a certain amount of time that we want to wait. Like, just like it's not like there's a particular time that we have in mind. It's just literal our capacity to release boards is limited.
Also, like we often the way we choose colors is really unscientific. It's just like, hey, it would be cool this color and this color, and like that's one of the things that, like, for example, like I wanted was a dark color with brass. I thought that was really cool. I thought that would be really cool, and it turned out to be really cool, and that's why we ran it. But there's also dozens of other color combinations that we think would be really cool, and like if we ever run out of ideas, for color combos, and for sure we'll definitely like re-explore other color combinations, because there's things that I really like I really like the way the red turned out in the number 2, the first run of the number 2s, and I would like to re-explore that color. If maybe it won't be like the exact same silver and red, but definitely I want to use that red again. So yeah.
Are we planning, Joe Cool Bob asks, are we planning to come to meetups? Yes. We went to KeyCon earlier this year in New York. We are already planning to go to 2 additional meetups this year. The DC meetup I think it's the first weekend of November, and then NorCal, which is the weekend after. So we're gonna have quite a lot of traveling at the beginning of November. I think Georgia is traveling 3 weeks. 3 out of 4 weeks in November.
I also have a wedding in November, which I also get really bad air sickness, so I'm super excited about all of this air travel.
Yeah, we're driving to DC. But yeah, we are planning on going to meetups. We really like going to meetups in general, and we'll go to all of them that are like feasible for us to go to. Korean American Barbecue says, have you already decided on the colors for the upcoming 160 and 165? Yes, for the 160, not necessarily for the 165, but we're not going to release any of that info yet until we've seen production samples and like that actual final color. So
yeah, and I think that it's kind of cool to release things like I could tell you it's going to be X color and X color, but it would be way cooler if Instagram post where the colors are, and we can show you pictures of the actual colors. Because like with anodizing especially, or with anodizing not especially but in particular, a lot of times render colors and colors that I can show you the Pantone chip and it might not necessarily match that perfectly. So it's just better to tell people or show people what it's going to be rather than tell people what it's going to be, because that way you meet expectations and it's a little bit more kind of, I'm more of a visual person, so I like showing.
Yeah, so we're gonna wait till we have them in hand to release color information. Any other last minute questions? I think we've answered everything.
While we're waiting, I want to thank everyone because we didn't do that last time, I don't think. I want to thank everyone for joining us and asking questions and everything. These are really fun, and we want to, and we're trying to, as a tease, maybe we're trying to like mix things up a little bit with our streams. So this might be the last time that we do this webcam thing. Might be. And I think we have something that we've been working on for the last few weeks that's gonna be pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
But yeah, I agree. I would echo that sentiment and say thank you everyone for joining us for this update. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate the questions. It seems like that is going to be it. So I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. And as always, if you have any other questions later on, feel free to ping us on Discord. And yeah, cool. All right.
Everyone have a nice night.
See everyone.